Inviting you to check out
The Hunt Palmer Show. You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Looking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this dreary Monday. It means we're brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. Got Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos, and appreciate you starting your work week off with us. New Orleans Saints have some new members of their organization. Sean Fazan from Fox 8 down in New Orleans going to join us in 30 minutes to talk about that. I was down at the Zurich on Saturday, and a really dramatic finish to that one on Sunday evening. We'll talk a little bit about that. LSU had some players with their names called in the NFL draft. We'll talk about that. A big-time defensive tackle transfer in Baton Rouge today. We'll talk about that and much, much more over the next couple of hours. So lock us in here as we get your work week started. We will start with LSU and Auburn from the box. Tigers get 2 of 3. The homestanding Tigers get 2 of 3 against Auburn. It started on Friday night. Gage Jump got the ball, and the thought was, okay, great job against Missouri last week. Best outing as an LSU Tiger. Can you follow that up? It's another bad team. It's another bad lineup. You catch a break because Ike Irish, their best hitter, is out. Can you go out there and show more of the same? And Gage Jump went out there and showed more of the same. He got 21 outs. He only faced 23 hitters. He gave up 2 hits, did not walk anybody, 6 strikeouts. He was fantastic in the ball game. And he finishes the 7th inning, and it is a 2-run game. And LSU's offense is able to go out in the 7th and put up a 3 spot. And Ashton Larson's hit that took it from 4-0 to 5-0 ended up being the swing of the bat that allowed Griffin Herring to sit down. And Jay Johnson said, we've got a 5-run lead. They're not very good. We've got 6 outs to get. I'm not going to Griffin Herring right there. Christian Little, go out there and do it. And did he ever? Christian Little's best weekend as an LSU Tiger was this past weekend, and it started on Friday when he was dominant for 2 perfect innings. 4 strikeouts, 97 on the fastball, slider was good. You know, Christian Little has been a very puzzling collegiate pitcher. For those that don't know, when he signed with Vanderbilt out of high school, he was among the 5 best pitching prospects in the country. And he graduated high school early, enrolled in Vanderbilt a semester early, which puts you right into the forefront of baseball season, and went out there to pitch as a young 18-year-old. And the results were mixed for 2 years at Vanderbilt. And while he did start the season last year as LSU's closer, he finished it as a mop-up duty guy who really couldn't get anybody out. And I kind of thought he would move on to professional baseball, try to figure it out there, but he decided to come back. And his role in this team has been pretty minimal. He's pitched in some mop-up duty innings. He did have some innings that were of some substance in early in SEC play, but those have kind of gone by the wayside. And then all of a sudden, Jay Johnson hands the ball with a 5-run lead in the 8th inning on Friday, and he was awesome on Friday. And LSU puts that win in their back pocket. They win the series opener 5-0 and move into Luke Holman's start coming up on Saturday. Well, obviously you're well aware that Luke Holman was not good in his start in Columbia. So could he get back up on the horse? The answer was a resounding yes. Pitched into the 7th inning, finished 6 2/3 innings, 9 punch-outs, just 1 earned run on 2 hits. He needed a little bit of help from Gavin Guidry to get out of the 7th, but that worked out. Nate Ackenhausen goes out there. Then he deals with the hamstring injury. He's got to come out, and Thatcher Hurd gets the final out from LSU's perspective in the 9th inning. But LSU's offense could not deliver the blow. They got 10 hits in the game. 10. But had only had 2 runs to show for it entering the 9th inning. And finally, you put some ducks on the pond, and Josh Pearson comes through with the big hit. And that was a huge swing for LSU. You feel like in a weekend where you can't expect LSU to play great for 3 games. This team has not shown any ability to play great for 3 games. So you're going to have to get by in one of these games if you're going to sweep this series without your best stuff. And LSU did not have its best offensive stuff in the game on Saturday, and they found a way to win. You out-hit Auburn 10-3 on Saturday, but you needed Pearson's walk-off to get it done. Well, they get it done, and then you feel like you can come back on Sunday and win this thing. You've got Griffin Herring ready to go, and you should be able to handle Auburn on a Sunday. Now, I mentioned on Friday that Auburn's best stuff was going to be its Sunday starter, and that's Carson Myers, and he's left-handed. He's got a whippy, like, 3-quarter deal, and he pitched really well last week, and he's kind of their best guy, but you feel like LSU, with Herring ready to go, should be able to beat Auburn. And you decide to start Cade Anderson. And if I tell you that Cade Anderson only made it 2/3 of an inning and gave up 5 earned runs on 4 hits, then you would go, well, that's a terrible start by Cade Anderson. And it really wasn't. He gives up the double, but then he comes back and gets a strikeout. Breaking ball looks good. And all of a sudden, all you've got is a runner on second base and 2 outs. That's it. Nobody scored yet. And then the baseball overlords didn't shine on LSU. Auburn collects 4 2-out hits, 3 of which weren't hit worth a flip. Flare into right field, a couple of 97 hoppers through the shift. The double to left was hit pretty good, even though it did hit and kind of check up. It wasn't like it was a frozen rope. But 3 consecutive 2-out RBI hits where you got 2 stitches of the baseball in the bat. That just happens sometimes. That's why it's really hard to sweep a series, because that's a lot of innings that need to go your way, and the first inning just didn't go LSU's way. From that point on, LSU outscored Auburn 5-2, but you put yourself so far behind the 8 ball that you couldn't get it done on Sunday. You felt like they were going to break through in the 7th. You're down 7-4. You've got the bases loaded and nobody out with your dudes coming up. You got Larson coming up. You got White coming up. You got Jones coming up. 3-run deficit, 9 outs to play with, bases loaded. You've got them right where you want them. And Larson had a good at bat. I mean, Carlson throws a ton of sliders. It's not a particularly good slider. It's a lot of cement mixers, but he throws a lot of sliders. And Larson stayed in there with 2 strikes and fouled a couple of pitches off. He saw 7 pitches in the at bat. And then he drives the ball the other way, hit it pretty hard, but it's a sac fly. Good at bat. That's fine. You drove in a run. You hit the ball pretty hard. That's about all you can do. But then Tommy White pops up, and Jared Jones strikes out on 3 pitches, the last of which was probably off the plate. But those are the guys that you need to come through in a big spot, and they didn't. And so you look up, and you realize that you lose this game in Game 3 to Auburn, and you win the series, but you lose Game 3. And personally, as I look at it, I can't help but feel one way. I don't feel, well, they won the series. That's good. Kept things alive. That's good. I don't feel that way. I say you miss an opportunity. Every game is so precious. You are playing a terrible SEC baseball team without its best player. You've got to go win the game at home on Sunday. You are creating too little margin for error over the last 3 weeks. That's the way I feel. They could certainly go out there and change that. Sweep A&M. I'll sing a different tune. But we all know what we're looking at here. We're looking at a team who is up against it to make the NCAA tournament. They could be up against it to make the SEC tournament if things don't go the right way this weekend. But as I look at it, it feels like you missed an opportunity. Whether that was pitch it better, position yourself better in the first inning on Sunday, or get the big hits when you had to have them late in the game. But you didn't do either one, and you let Auburn get away with a win. You've got to change the math somewhere along the line, and this felt like your best opportunity to do it. And I feel like they let an opportunity get away from them on Sunday. You're just not going to look across the field at a more gettable team than that Auburn outfit with no Ike Irish on Sunday. You're just not. Doesn't mean you can't win other games. Doesn't mean there's not another path. This was the easier path, and you let it go. In a vacuum, winning an SEC weekend is a good thing. And if LSU entered this weekend having played 18 conference games and they were 12-6 and they won 2 out of 3, I would say, nice job. Did exactly what you needed to do. But you're not in that situation. You're in a situation that every single win is precious. And that's a team you can beat, and they didn't get it done. There's plenty of good stuff. Like Larson's been great. Jumps found something the last 2 weeks against lesser teams. Holman got back into it. White and Jones both homered on Saturday. Like, there's some good stuff they're doing. But unfortunately, every discussion we have about anything they're doing good has to be framed with this black cloud hanging over it going, yeah, but you're 7-14 in the league. And if you lose your 17th league game, oh, by the way, you have 14 right now, you might be in big trouble. Our baseball breakdowns all season long are brought to you by Pluckers. Going by Nicholson, just south of campus. Bluebonnet in front of the Mall, Louisiana. Get some Breggie's Creole Crush there from the folks over at Pluckers. I did some research this morning on teams that finish 13-17 and teams that finish 14-16 in league play, because it feels like that's where LSU's trending. What does that look like over the last 5 NCAA tournaments? I've got all the numbers. I'll let you know next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. If you've been thinking about making that call with One Bath and Closets when I tell you about them each and every day, now's the time to do it. You make that call, you get the free consultation set up, and here's what you do. You tell David Duvall and his team, hey, I heard you all on the Hunt Palmer Show. Bang, $1,000 off. $1,000 off your bathroom or closet redesign or remodel if you tell One Bath and Closets that you're a listener of the Hunt Palmer Show. So appreciated our partnership with David Duvall and his team over the last couple of years. We want to pass some of those great vibes on to you, whether it's a customized closet that fits your daily needs or a brand new gorgeous bathroom. All that starts with a free consultation, and it can start with $1,000 off if you tell One Bath and Closets that you heard about them on the Hunt Palmer Show. Go online, get the free consultation, see the pictures of their great work, look at the awesome reviews from their satisfied customers. It's One Bath and Closets. You can check them out online, onebathandclosets.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $11,000 off the new 23 Dodge Charger. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $11,000 off the powerful new Charger. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you. Bayou Ford has $10,000 off F-150s, $10,000 off the new F-150 truck, plus 1.9% for 72 months. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward. always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Monday's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. We're recapping the NFL Draft, the Saints Hall, and where the Tigers went, and LSU-Auburn in baseball. Join us for Monday's AFR, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
.104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and the Baton Rouge Clinic bring you the Dreams Come True Radiothon. Dreams Come True is an organization designed to help grant dreams for children with life-threatening illnesses and their families. Dreams Come True Radiothon is presented today by Service Chevrolet, Lewis Mechanical, and the Lucky Law Firm. Donate today at 1045ESPN.com. Just a few days left to get those donations in.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
So, if you listen and you follow along with LSU baseball, I think most of you are kind of on the same page that, like, if you get to 13 league wins, you've got a chance to make the NCAA tournament. 14 feels a little safer. That's kind of the math that we always use. And you crank that up and you're in the tournament. If you get to 14 or 15, certainly, and you start talking about hosting at 17, you start talking about a national seed at 18, 19, 20 wins in league play. There are other factors based on the rest of your resume as well as what everyone else is doing in college baseball. But those are just kind of rough points that you look at on an SEC standings calculator. And so I wanted to go back, and I just picked a random sample size. I picked the last 5 NCAA tournaments. That's obviously last year, 2023, 2022, 2021, and then we skipped 20 because we stopped in the middle of the season, 19 and 18. So the last 5 NCAA baseball tournaments. And I was just looking at SEC teams with 13 or 14 wins. So here's what I found in doing that research. Last year, A&M went 14 and 16 in league play. They actually got to the SEC tournament final last year in Hoover, which obviously helps your resume just a little bit. And they were a 2 seed at Stanford on the legs of a 14 and 16 regular season and a run in the SEC tournament. In 2022, there were 4 such teams. Ole Miss went 14 and 16. You know that story very, very well. They were the last team in at 14 and 16. They got the 3 seed in Coral Gables. They won that regional, won the Super in Hattiesburg, and won the national championship at 14 and 16. Vandy also went 14 and 16 that year in league play. They went 1 and 2 in the SEC tournament, and they were a 2 seed in Corvallis, Oregon. South Carolina went 13 and 17 that year, 1 game worse than Ole Miss. They also went 0 and 1 in the SEC tournament. They did not make the NCAA tournament at 13 and 17. I tossed Georgia in there for this mix. They were 15 and 15 that year. They got a 2 seed in North Carolina. In 2021, the year before that, Georgia went 13 and 17. They went 1 and 2 in the SEC tournament. They did not make NCAA play at 13 and 17. LSU in 2021, Pulmonary's final year, 13 and 17 in SEC play. LSU was maybe the last team in that year. They were the 3 seed in Corvallis, Oregon at 13 and 17. Bama that year lost a game due to weather, so they went 12 and 17. They won 2 games in Hoover and got the 3 seed in Ruston at Louisiana Tech. So they actually got in at 12 and 17 with a very, very high RPI that year. I'll tell you how all this works out in little better numbers, but I'll just kind of walking you through this here over the years. In 2019, Tennessee went 14 and 16. They got a 2 seed in Chapel Hill. Missouri was 13, 16, and 1 that year. They had a tie, 13, 16, and 1. They did not make the NCAA tournament after 1 and out in Hoover. Florida was 13-17 that year. They also went 1-out in Hoover. They got a 3 seed in Lubbock, Texas in the NCAA tournament. So you're seeing there's a mixed bag here. In 2018, Kentucky and A&M were both 13-17. Kentucky did not make it. A&M got to Saturday of the SEC tournament, and they were the 3 seed in Austin at Texas. So to put a bow on all of that talking, 13-17 exactly has happened 6 times in those 5 years. 13-17 gives you a 50% chance based on these numbers. Those teams have gotten in 3 times, have been left out 3 times. 14-16, everybody's gotten in. Nobody with 14 league wins has been left out in the last 5 NCAA tournaments. And you had 1 13-16-1, they did not get in. So you're a crapshoot 50-50 at 13-17, and you're in at 14-16. That's what this story tells you over 5 years. I don't know what the story is over 10 years. I don't know what the story is over 20 years. I stopped at 5. I don't have any great reason for that. It's just what I did. I created a sample size of 5 years. And I kind of feel like that's exactly where LSU is. And let me tell you how I think this thing shakes out, understanding that there's 3 weeks of variables in front of me, 4 weeks of variables in front of me, 3 regular season weekends and a conference tournament weekend. So I can't give you any absolutes. There are too many variables. But I'll tell you, this is how I feel about LSU. If you can beat Texas A&M in a series, the scale tilts in your favor, in my opinion. Now, you still have to take care of your business, but I can start to paint a picture at 13-17 with a win over Texas A&M that LSU will have won 4 league series, 4 of 6, that LSU will have a sparkling out-of-conference record, even though I don't think the resume is that strong, and you will have a feather-in-your-cap series win. I think there's a chance the RPI is good enough at that point to get in the NCAA tournament. If you lose to Texas A&M, I don't think 13 wins is going to get you there. I don't believe the committee is going to look at a 13-17 SEC team that has lost its series to A&M and lost its series to Arkansas and lost its series to Tennessee, lost its series at Mississippi State, and you've beaten Missouri and Auburn, and to get there you would have had to win series against Alabama and Missouri. That, to me, does not appear to be a resume that's going to be looked upon very favorably. Now, if you beat A&M and you get to 14, it's a lock, because at that point you will have won 5 series in a row, 1 over Texas A&M, 14 league wins. Your RPI is going to take care of itself. Your top 50 wins are going to take care of itself. If you beat A&M and then finish out with 14 wins, you're golden. The question is 13 wins. I think with a series win over Texas A&M, your 13 wins look stronger than if you don't beat Texas A&M and you're just feasting on the bottom of the Southeastern Conference. Yes, I realize the bottom of the Southeastern Conference is probably as strong as the middle or of the Big 12 or the ACC. Certainly the Pac. But that's just the way I think they're going to look at it. I am scarred. And I probably shouldn't take scars with me for 13 years, but here we are. I'm scarred by what I saw 13 years ago. It was my first assignment out of college on the beat for Bayou Bengals Insider. The first job I ever had in media outside of, after school. And we went to the Champions Club, and LSU got left out of the NCAA tournament in 2011. And I can still hear the committee chair. Now, this is 13 years later, so things can change, but he said they let St. John's in, and they kept LSU out. And he said, yeah, 6 of those wins for LSU were against Kentucky and Tennessee, and those are the worst 2 teams in the league. And while I think that those 6 wins are more impressive than anything St. John's did in their league, that's not the way I believe the committee is going to frame it. If the committee wanted to, they could give the SEC every benefit of the doubt because it's the best league by a mile. But they're not going to do it. They're going to spread things around, in my opinion. I don't think they're going to stick it to the SEC, but they're not going to look at it like I would and say, you know what, all these teams in the SEC are better than all those teams over there. They're just not going to look at it that way. And I think they looked at LSU at that point, 2 years off a national championship, setting attendance records year over year over year, and said, yeah, they'll be back next year. Let's let St. John's in and throw them a bone. That's what I think happened. And I don't know if we're still in that place right now in college baseball, but to me, the season rides in the next 6 days. We'll break down LSU and A&M at the end of this week, but to me, if you don't beat Texas A&M 2 out of 3, and all of a sudden you look, say you get 1, and LSU's 8-16, I think you would have to win out to get to 14-16. I think you would have to sweep Alabama and Ole Miss. And let's be very, very frank, that's not going to happen. I think you lose your margin for error at 13 if you don't win 2 out of 3 this week. I think if you do win 2 out of 3 this week and you get to 9-15, then I think that you can go 4-2 the rest of the week. You see how quick that math changes from 6-0 to 4-2? There's a lot of variables, and I can't speak in absolutes. This is just how I feel analyzing the situation. Every single year is different. It's a different committee. It's a different set of conference champions. It's a different type of bubble. Every year is different. So I can't point to exact situations because there's not one that's apples to apples. This is just how I feel. I think the season comes down to next weekend for LSU. You have to find a way on your home field to beat Texas A&M twice. If you do that and you go 4-2 some way over the next 2 weeks, whether it's a sweep and lose 2 out of 3 or just get 2 each weekend, I think you go to Hoover in good shape. But that's why I play baseball. Got to go out there and get it done next week against Texas A&M. Our baseball breakdowns all season long are brought to you by Pluckers. When we come back, Sean Fazan breaking down the Saints draft class. New quarterback headed to the Big Easy. What do we think about that? It's next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio, video, security solutions, avssla.com. Mitchell Fisher and his team, just such a great local team. And they can help you out with so many things around your home. Whether it's a security system that you've been wanting to put in, but you've been putting it off. Nothing's more important than security of your home and your family. Audio, video, security solutions can help you with all of your security needs. Maybe it's a home entertainment system that you don't know where to start with. They can help you with that. Maybe it's just some whole home audio or some outdoor audio out by the pool or where you do some cooking or in the backyard where the kiddos play. They can help you with all that. And as I mentioned back on Friday, they added a new pitch to the repertoire last week. The old golf simulator. Audio Video Security Solutions helped a client out installing an entire golf simulator from the mats to the actual device itself. They can help you with that as well if it's something that you're into. Check them out online, avssla.com. Check them out on Instagram, avss_BR. And this is Mitchell Fisher's phone number if you want to get Audio Video Security Solutions over to your home or your business. It's 225-439-7920. Again, 225-439-7920. That is Audio Video Security Solutions. Check them out online at avssla.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated.
Join me and Jimmy out for the Tuesday edition of Live at Lunch. We're at Mike Anderson Seafood, Wesley at Nicholson. We'll take a look back at the Pelicans Game 4. And Andy Esco joins us from Las Vegas. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. Tuesday from Mike Anderson's on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Busy weekend at the NFL draft. LSU had 3 more players after the 3 first rounders. We'll talk about where those guys ended up coming up at the top of hour number 2. Exciting day for Mason Smith. Obviously, great news for Mekhi Wingo and Jordan Jefferson as well. A lot of Jacksonville Jaguars flair for the LSU class of 2024. We certainly want to talk about the New Orleans Saints and what they did in the draft over the weekend. To do that, we go down to New Orleans to chat with our guy, Sean Pazan from Fox 8 in New Orleans. Joins us on the Jim's Firearms Hotline right now. Sean, how are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Doing quite well. I'm curious your overall thoughts before we start talking specifically about players, about the Saints draft tactics, about using those 5th-round picks, only 1 trade up. What did you think about Mickey Loomis and Dennis Allen's approach to this draft?
I thought it was decent. I think you got, I'm sure you'll ask specifically about players, but I think you got one guy that can be, a 10-year guy and a tackle that you drafted at Oregon State. I like Kool-Aid, the player, not the drink, but I like the drink too. But anyway, the player. And, Spencer Rattler certainly adds some intrigue, but you said something interesting. The biggest miss, in my opinion, the biggest disappointment, in my opinion, was the fact that they weren't able to figure out a way to get into that 3rd and 4th round gap, just because as those players are coming off in that gap, you really saw some guys that could have really been perhaps a little bit more of an instant impact type player than maybe you might get just in the entirety of this class. But overall, given the hand that they had, the board that they had, I'm not mad at it too much. I think overall they filled their biggest need. They came away with a surefire day 1 starter at tackle, and we'll see what happens with the rest of the guys.
You mentioned tackle. Taliesin Fuaga is the tackle that they bring in from Oregon State. If Ryan Ramczyk is healthy, what does it mean for him? I know what it means if Ryan Ramczyk is not.
Well, look, man, they drafted a guy who had 700 snaps at right tackle, so I think they're planning for life without Ryan Ramczyk.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a bonus at this point if Ramczyk is healthy. But if Ramczyk is healthy, then, yeah, I think Fuaga becomes a option at the left tackle position. It's something that he says he could do. It's something Dennis Allen believes they can do. It's something they'll have to sort out through the training camp preseason process. And I think it certainly would be a possibility he could be the guy on the left side competing with, who knows? I mean, I guess at this point it would be Trevor Penning and whoever they may or may not add in this, post-draft wave of free agency. Let me just say, that would be the best case scenario. If somehow Ryan Ramczyk isn't just healthy, but he's back to the player or close to the player he once was, that would solve a lot of issues. But unfortunately, the organizational moves and even their own comments lead you to believe that perhaps that's not exact. That's wishful thinking, but it's probably not close to the reality at this point.
Was not surprised to see the Saints move up a little bit. They're in round 2. I was surprised at the position that they drafted at cornerback with Kool-Aid McKinstry. What was your reaction there?
Yeah, I mean, that was a guy they had a high grade on. To get him at 41 was certainly, in their mind, good value. I know a lot of, draft prospect boards had him in that, high 20s, low 30s range. The cornerback out of Alabama. He's a guy that plays press man. If you know Dennis Allen, he loves the press man scheme, particularly on third down, where they play that third down two-man system with the press man type technique. So, yeah, certainly think that's a player that DA likes. And, look, DA comes from the secondary defensive backfield coaching tree. So he's going to make sure his secondary and defensive backfield, if he falls in love with a player, he's going to go ahead and get that player. And they're going to be coached well at that position. So I think he's a guy that can get on the field. Don't know if he's a regular starter at either outside or the nickel position. And I'm sure it leads to questions about Marshawn Lattimore. I still think there's something there in terms of, what could potentially happen. But as of now, Lattimore is a member of the New Orleans Saints. And if he is and he plays and he's the player he once was or he's been, then I think that's great. You have one of the most loaded cornerback rooms in football. If not, then you have a guy that they believe could come in and be a steady contributor right away, depending on how much. And look, he made a good point as well. Last year they did play a lot of cornerbacks. I mean, they had a lot of injuries up there, and Dennis Allen, like I said, he comes from the defensive backfield, and he always says you can never have enough good corners, and they got a good one in Kool-Aid McKinstry.
Round 5, Spencer Rattler. You said it added some intrigue. Does it add some potential competition down the line at quarterback?
Well, it adds instant competition for the number 2.
Yeah.
It's a loaded quarterback room right now. They're not going to have 5 guys by the time they get to training camp. That's a guarantee. How you divvy up the reps? I mean, you just can't. So they'll have 1 or 2 less in that quarterback room. It certainly adds intrigue to the Jake Haener, Spencer Rattler competition. I've been, since that pick, I've really been studying him a lot. Intrigue is the perfect word because there's some flashes there, but there's also some inconsistencies and there's some really good qualities. I don't know if there's a great quality. And there's a guy that played a lot of college football. He's clearly matured, as a player and obviously as a person. I know the QB1 thing, that didn't even factor into the Saints' mind. I mean, I know that was kind of the talk out there when he was a kid, but he was a kid back then. But, yeah, look, at 150 for a guy, I checked a lot of the publication prospect grades. The lowest I saw Spencer Rattler was 89. So to get him at 150, I mean, that's a situation where it's like, wow, we can't believe this guy's still here. Let's just go ahead and grab him because he's so far up on our draft board than everyone else we could have picked at this position.
We knew they were going to get a pass catcher at some point, whether it was a tight end, maybe Brock Bowers early or a wide receiver. Bub Means comes off the board in the 5th. What do you give his chances of making the team?
Decent shot, bigger body receiver. Can make some tough catches, which is what they want to, which is what they've been able, or what they've expressed that they want with this current wide receiver core. It's a kind of a young group. So, it's not like he's coming in and facing a lot of, wily old veterans. I mean, there's a lot of young guys in that group that's going to play, right away. So I think he certainly has a chance. Just learn the system, which everybody on the team is learning a new system. That's the quickest way to get on the field. And if he can be that contested catch guy, absolutely. I think he's got a shot to make the roster.
In the last 5th rounder, Jalen Ford, linebacker out of Texas, super productive in Austin. What does that linebacker group look like right now?
Yeah, I think his ticket initially is going to be special teams, and just looking at his resume, it sounded like, or it looks like, he's a guy that embraced special teams even in college, which is something you don't necessarily see. He played a ton of football for Texas, logged a lot of snaps. Seems like he's got the right makeup to come in. You got Demario Davis, who's the ageless wonder, but, who knows how much longer he's going to play. Pete Werner, coming up into a contract year this year. Played okay last year. I didn't think he was quite as good last year as he was in year 2. You got Willie Gay. So he'll battle. He'll battle for a roster spot. He's going to battle his way through when it comes to special teams. I think that's his ticket onto the roster. And who knows what could happen after that. I don't necessarily project him to be a starter or a regular contributor on defense. I think realistically, he would be a special teams guy.
And then in round 6 and round 7, looking at the line of scrimmage, Christian Boyd, defensive tackle, and then Josiah Ezram, an offensive tackle in the 7th round. Just kind of swings at the line of scrimmage there.
Yeah, I know Boyd was a name that had popped up quite a bit. Northern Iowa connection is interesting around here with the Trevor Penning thing. And they were teammates and went up against each other in college. I mean, who knows if that was a good battle or not. But, look, he was a guy that, you saw his name floated out there quite a bit pre-draft-wise. So to get him in the 6th round, perhaps it's good value. And then the 7th round tackle out of Eastern Kentucky is a huge human being. I mean, huge human being. And again, they need offensive linemen. But, I can break down each player and say they each have a chance, but collectively, 5 guys on day 3 after pick 150, the realistic chances of all 5 of those guys making the initial roster, in my opinion, is slim. They could, surprise us, but in a draft class where most agree after the top, say, 100 to 125 prospects, it really dropped off. To have 5 picks well after that, I think you kind of sense what I'm getting at here. I think it would be hard for all 5 of those guys to make the initial roster.
Was there a undrafted free agent signing or two that piqued your interest?
Yeah, I like the tight end out of Colorado State, Holker. Very productive last year for Colorado State. Ran a nice diversity of routes when you really watch him line up in line or in the slot. What he was able to do, he really was a weapon for them. So surprised to see him get to the undrafted ranks there, but they were able to snag him. And then I like the running back out of ULL because I thought they would address that position, just given where they're at that position and given their history with undrafted running backs. I think he certainly has a chance as well. Canody, is that his name? Out of UL. So I think he's got a decent shot. And then, look, I mentioned this in the pre-draft mock draft season. I thought they would invest possibly with so many day 3 picks in a specialist at punter in particular, and they got the punter from Vanderbilt in the undrafted ranks. I think that could be a competition no one sees coming, but that could be something where you could add some value there if the punter comes in and is able to, outplay Headley. I think that could certainly help when you talk about just, the fine line of winning and losing in the NFL. To have a little bit better production out of your punter, I think could go a long way.
No question about it. We know that the Saints, were kind of looking around at offensive tackle as far as free agents, and Mekhi Becton was one of the names that was kind of rumored, and he's now signed with Philadelphia. Do you still expect the Saints to sign a veteran free agent at offensive tackle?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I can't believe I'm saying this because I don't think I've ever said this, but they need to sign Andrews Peat. I mean, because he's out there, he knows the system, and it's not just tackle. He can play guard as well. In fact, there were times he was better as a guard, although last year he played tackle and kind of saved them a little bit up front along the offensive line. And I was thinking about this, okay, where does Trevor Penning ultimately settle in? Which is, they still have hopes for him to figure it out, but is he a guard or is he a tackle? And whatever position he takes, the other one's open. Left guard or left tackle is open. So Pete has played both and played both pretty effectively. And with what's available right now, he would be option A on my list to bring back in black and gold, just because you need the depth of that position. You need not just depth, you need talent at that position as well. So I would have no problem if they brought back Andrews Peat.
How realistic do you think that is?
We try to get something out of Mickey pre-draft with that, but he just said he's a free agent, so that's about it. He didn't really say much about it. I don't know. There is a new system. There is a new offensive line coach. Perhaps they're looking at a different type of offensive lineman that could be a little bit more agile, a little bit more movement skills up front. Maybe the new offensive coordinator has someone in mind that we just don't know about yet. I just know for us, to cover this team and understand what's available and what, at the time of the calendar where you can grab someone, to me, it just seems like a very realistic option.
He's on Twitter at Sean Fazan Fox 8. He is Sean Fazan of Fox 8, joining us here talking a little bit of black and gold. Sean, thanks for the time, man.
Yeah, no problem.
There's a little look at the black and gold draft class. I'll have some of my thoughts coming up on that as we kind of move forward here a little bit. We've talked some LSU in terms of football from a draft perspective and from a transfer portal perspective at the top of hour number 2. We'll come back and close out hour number 1. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
ESPN Bet's ready to take you through all the huge sports moments this spring. The exclusive sportsbook of ESPN has it all, including exclusive offers and promotions from Scott Van Pelt and Stephen A. Smith. From the playoff intensity to getting out on the links and out to the ballpark, no better time to be a sports fan. Sign up today and new users get $100 in bonus bets for making any sportsbook bet. Download ESPN Bet today. What a play. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. In partnership with the Bears Lake Charles. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off F-150s, $10,000 off the new F-150 truck, plus 1.9% for 72 months. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online.
It's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Monday's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. We're recapping the NFL Draft, the Saints Haul, and where the Tigers went, and LSU-Auburn in baseball. Join us for Monday's AFR, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Shout out to the folks at Gulf Coast Office Products, GCOPnet.com. GCOPnet.com is the website. All your printing needs, copier needs, scanner needs, Gulf Coast Office Products. If you don't ever think about your printer, scanner, copier, maybe you should. The folks at Gulf Coast Office Products absolutely will. Trey Beal, awesome dude, does a fantastic job over there at Gulf Coast Office Products. He's got clients in every vertical market you can think of, whether you're in healthcare, whether you're a law firm, whether you're like us and you're a media company. schools, no matter what it is, Trey can help you out with your printing, scanning, copier needs, and he knows what those needs are and how to best go ahead and take care of those. GCOPnet.com is the website. All your printing, scanning, copier needs, Gulf Coast Office Products. Just an incredible, incredible weekend for the Zurich Classic of New Orleans. Like, I don't think anybody down here is under any of the illusions that the Zurich Classic is some A-list tour event. It's not the majors. It's not the players. It's not Riviera. It doesn't have Arnold Palmer at Bay Hill or Jack Nicklaus's name attached to it at Memorial. Like, it's a lower level tour event. And this was one of the best days in the history of that event yesterday. To have Rory McIlroy decide to come, which he did not have to do, and for him to team up with Shane Lowry, a major champion, a European Ryder Cupper, and for those guys to be making a push and to get into a playoff and to win that event, and then for those two guys to claim that they'll be back and to talk about how great the event was and how awesome the city was and the support that they got is such a great thing for the Zurich. I'll tell you personally, like, I went on Saturday. I did not put sunscreen on. I got yelled at by my wife when I got home. But it was just an incredible time, and it's such an awesome spectator event. I parked. There's a shuttle that pulls up 15 yards from where I parked. It's every, 3 minutes. Shuttles you right to the front gate. Walked right in. And there's food and drink everywhere. There's a gift shop right there at the front. The access to the players is incredible. I walked right to the second tee box. Rory showed right up there. They were teeing off next. Watched them play 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Went and grabbed another couple of drinks. Saw them play 13 as well. I'm looking at Schauffele and Cantlay, and those guys were playing, and it was an incredible viewing experience, as it always is. Everything is so efficient and so well run. And then you got a great Sunday with what, quite frankly, if I'm going to call it what it was a bunch of guys choking and Rory McIlroy standing up as a four-time major champ would do in the Zurich Classic. I mean, even his partner, Shane Lowry, wipes it way right on 17, and then he missed a short putt on 17, and then he pulled a 3-wood that he hit after Rory set him up on 18 and put Rory in a really tough spot, and McIlroy hits this ridiculous chip shot to put Lowry in a position to make the birdie. Zach Blair and his team were really struggling. Then you had Brim and Hubbard, who couldn't find a putt to go down to get into the playoff. And then you get into the playoff, and Ramey and Traynor are knocking it all over the yard, and then they just absolute vomit over a 6-footer there, and they can't close things down in the playoff. But it was just really cool to see Rory McIlroy come to this event after 2 consecutive high-level events with the Masters and the elevated event at Hilton Head, and to be here and then to commit to playing in it next year after they win. He's singing Don't Stop Believin' in the tent with the beer and some beads on. Jeff Duncan found out where they went to eat this week. They went to La Petite Grocery. They went to Gauchero's. They went to Arno's. Just said he had an awesome time. And so, I fully understand what the Zurich is, and I know what it's never going to be. And quite frankly, it's easy to see a world 24 months from now where the Zurich Classic doesn't even exist. Because if LIV and the PGA Tour combine to form this global tour, the lower level tour stops are going to be cut out of that. The Honda's going to get cut out of that. The 3M's going to be cut out of that. The John Deere's going to be cut out of that. And the Zurich would be on the chopping block there, unfortunately. And so we don't know what the future of golf holds and when that timeline happens. But for right now, we're here in South Louisiana. We've got a PGA Tour event. The group that puts it on, the 4Kids Foundation, does an unbelievable job with it. It's great spectating experience for the fans that are there. And then you have a day where one of the biggest names in golf, if not the biggest name in golf, sans Scotty Scheffler, plays great and wins the tournament and then brags about the city and the event and just what it meant for him to be here, and then says he's going to come back. I just thought that was really, really cool stuff for the PGA Tour and for the Zurich Classic. And I feel bad for Ramey and Traynor. That would have meant a lot for them after firing a 63 in alt shot yesterday to win the event, but facing a guy who's pretty good. And even though Rory didn't hit his tee shot especially well, he was just nails down the stretch, and everybody else was just fallen by the wayside, it appeared, down there in Avondale. So I'll be back next year to watch. I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully Rory McIlroy and a few other PGA Tour players will be there on the higher end of things. Great day for the Zurich Classic and the PGA Tour yesterday. So that's it for hour number one. If you missed any of it, you can catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com's on-demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever you find your sound, you can find us. First 30 minutes, we're on baseball. I talked about LSU's weekend against Auburn and then kind of put it into context of what the next 3 weeks need to look like for LSU to get into the NCAA tournament. I gave historical perspective from a record point of view, and then just kind of gave my opinion on where this resume kind of stands as we sit here headed for May. So if you missed any of that, our baseball breakdowns are brought to you by Pluckers. You can catch them all on demand. Sean DeFazan was with us in the last segment breaking down the Saints draft class. If you missed that, you can catch it on YouTube at Hunt on Saints on YouTube, our Saints channel. All your Saints news comes to you right there into your feed if you subscribe up to the channel. When we come back, a lot of LSU football coming up at the top of hour number 2. LSU guys drafted over the weekend. LSU's got a big defensive tackle transfer who is on campus right now. So we'll get you caught up on all things LSU football after SportsCenter. Come back. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $11,000 off the new 23 Dodge Charger. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $11,000 off the powerful new Charger. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Is Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Breaking news. 2 more years of the Patrick Mahomes-Travis Kelce connection in Kansas City. The Chiefs and Kelce agreed to a 2-year extension, reportedly making him the highest-paid tight end in the NFL. ESPN's Adam Schefter's reporting. Running back Ezekiel Elliott agreed on a 1-year deal with the Cowboys, max value $3 million. First-round NBA playoffs. Nuggets may be without one of their best players. Game 5 versus the Lakers tonight. Point guard Jamal Murray left calf strain, listed as questionable in the potential series clincher. First Take host Stephen A. Smith.
Michael Porter Jr., obviously Jamal Murray, them brothers have to show up. They showed up for the first 3 games, didn't really show up in game 4. They got to do that. Jokic is Jokic. He always there. He'll never let you down. But those other guys got to show up. And if Jamal Murray is not there, Jokic, usually, they're not the same Denver Nuggets team.
UAB football players said their entire roster has signed up for athletes.org, making them the first full Division I football team to publicly join a budding players association.
As humans, we like having options. One option you might like is speaking with a real person when you call about your credit card. With 24/7 live, U.S.-based customer service from Discover, everyone can talk to a real person anytime, day or night. Limitations apply. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I direct your attention to something quite extraordinary?
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show. The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour number 2, Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products on this dreary Monday. Beck, I got to paint the scene for you.
Okay.
Myers School this morning. I'm in charge of drop-off.
Yep.
Does it come as a big surprise to you that I do not have an umbrella in my car?
It comes as zero surprise to me that you don't have an umbrella in your
There's
car.
an umbrella by my desk. It just doesn't get to the car. So we get to school, and I mean, it is torrential out there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just an
pouring.
absolute, deluge. And I'm like, well, we'll see. So there was a towel in my car.
Okay.
So I've got the 2-year-old, and we've got 15, 18, 20 yards from the parking spot to the gate, which has got the roof over it. We've got to get this child and me these 20 yards with a torrential rain and no umbrella.
Yeah.
So I get out, and I've got the towel over my head, and I'm trying to get him out of the car seat. It's just pouring down rain. The seat's getting soaking wet. The door's getting soaking wet. I'm getting soaking wet. He's screaming, crying. I'm trying to make sure I don't do something rash and slam the door and then get hit by a car because I'm not looking. I've got a towel over my head, and I've got him in my arms. He's getting soaking wet. We're looking. There's no cars. We get in. He is screaming, crying, and I assessed the damage when we got under the roof. My entire back was not like it had been rained on. It looked like someone had dumped a bucket of water on me, in my back. His hair was a little wet. The pants were a little wet. I did a decent job of getting him there.
What's up with him not liking to get wet? I mean, I thought kids like to play in the water and stuff.
I think he's good with it, but it was it's kind of scary. It's raining really hard.
Yeah.
This is not just the
Loud.
sprinklers out. Things are really happening. Plus it's completely out of his comfort zone for me to have a towel on my head, and he doesn't know really what's going on. I told him to sing "Rain, Rain, Go Away." That didn't last very long. It was really poor effort, and if my wife had seen a video of this, I'd probably be benched. It would be bad. It would not have been a good situation. So parents out there, make sure you have an umbrella in your car. I did not, and we got a little wet this morning. My shirt dried off by about 9:30. I went to the meeting at 9 o'clock just soaked. Back was just soaked. But it is what it is. That's how we got this Monday. That's work week started on this Monday. Let's talk a little about the LSU guys who were drafted. We know that Thursday got off to a great start for LSU. Jaden Daniels goes number 2 in the draft. Malik Neighbors 4 picks later at number 6. And Brian Thomas comes off the board at number 23 to Jacksonville. So a great start for LSU in the NFL draft. And then just a kind of a coincidence, Jacksonville takes Mason Smith in the second round with the 48th pick. And I want to say very, very publicly, right here on the airwaves, right here on YouTube, wherever you may be accessing us to listen, I was dead flat wrong. Absolutely wrong. I said when Mason Smith declared for the draft, that's a big financial mistake. Because that is a guy who has not stayed healthy, who has no production at the college level, who has no game film of note to go off of, that could be a high round pick based on his projectables, but feels like he'll probably be somewhere in the neighborhood of a 5th or 6th round pick, might not make a team. His career could be over before it even starts. Like I rarely say players should go back. I think fans' inclination is to say, well, that guy should come back. That guy could come back. That guy should come back. When in reality, it's usually not the right discussion if you're even having it. And this time around, I said, I think he needs to stay. And he goes in the second round. He did not need to stay. And this is just one of those, cases when you look at the NFL draft of going off of projectables. This is not based on statistics. It's not based on some sort of preponderance of evidence on the film tape. Nope. It's just this guy's really big, can probably move pretty well. There aren't that many of those guys around. We'll take him. Hey, Charles Hanegriff comes in and brings me an umbrella. What a wonderful gesture by Charles Hanegriff. That's first-class stuff there. Just drops it right there on the desk. I've now got an umbrella.
That's definitely a first-class move by him there.
That was a first-class move by Charles Hanegriff. Walks in, just plops the purple and gold umbrella right here. Got Toonces on it. So this is going to probably be, I'm guessing, about 15 years old. But it looks to be functional. So appreciate Charles Hanegriff for that. I did say that I have an umbrella at my desk. It just doesn't make its way to my car. So, but yeah, Mason Smith. Great news for Mason Smith that he's able to make that happen, and he goes in the second round to the Jacksonville Jaguars. He'll be joined in the defensive tackle room once again by Jordan Jefferson, who came off the board in the 4th round with the 116th selection of the NFL draft, also to Jacksonville. Jefferson's a guy who did put some quality film on tape and has logged a ton of collegiate snaps. He doesn't have the size, the measurables of Mason Smith, but does have a lot of college football under his belt. And that's a guy that I think we didn't talk a ton about last year because everybody on LSU's defense, for one reason or another, had issues. There was not anybody on LSU's defense that you would point to and go, man, awesome job you're doing out there. Like, Perkins flashed at times, but it was few and far between. And then I would probably maybe point to Jordan Jefferson second on that list about guys that actually made a few plays. And so for him to go in the 4th round to Jacksonville, that's obviously an opportunity to make that team. And then Mekhi Wingo does wait until the 6th round, and he's picked up there by the Detroit Lions. And that's just one where you wouldn't suggest, or I shouldn't speak for you, listener, I'll speak for me. I'm not going to suggest that Mekhi Wingo should have come back because he goes in the 6th round. This is one of those deals. It's very much in the ilk of Tremont Waters. Like, Tremont Waters could have come back for his 3rd year of college basketball, but he's still going to be 5'10". And Mekhi Wingo could come back for another year of college football, but he's still not going to be a big, imposing defensive tackle. He's just not. He's got some really quality tape. He's got some great production. He's got some accolades as a 3rd-team All-American. Wore the number 18. But he is who he is. It's time to start the clock and see if you can make it in the NFL. If you can, awesome. If you can't, it's a bummer. But it is what it is, and you move on with life. Sometimes people just want to come back for another year of college. They like the college experience. Maybe it's close to home. Maybe you value getting some sort of degree that you haven't earned yet. But as far as this speaks from just a football perspective, I think it was the right decision for Mekhi Wingo to go, because I think likely if he comes back and does much more of the same that he's done in college, like he's still 5th, 6th, 7th round pick because he just doesn't look like Mason Smith in a set of shoulder pads. So I'll be pulling for all these guys. It's a little bit odd that you had 3 guys drafted off that defense that was so poor most of the year. But you hope these guys have found themselves a great opportunity. I think for me, the story for LSU is obviously in this draft going to be the 3 guys on offense, but I'm maybe most curious about what happens to Mason Smith, Jordan Jefferson, and Mekhi Wingo based on where they were selected, the organizations that they're joining, and what they can get out of that. Mason Smith, can he stay healthy and unlock that unlimited potential? Mekhi Wingo, can he overcome the size disadvantage that he's been given? He overcame it in college. Can he overcome it at the next level? He'll have an opportunity to do that with a team that's got a really, really good culture about it right now with the Detroit Lions. And I would not suggest that's a coincidence that an organization that's got such a great vibe around it right now and such a great culture like Detroit would take a guy that was tagged the number 18, even though it was a transfer into LSU. I think that's really, really cool for Mekhi, and hopefully things very much work out for him. So LSU has 6 guys drafted: Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas in round 1. Mason Smith goes in round 2. Jordan Jefferson in round 4. Mekhi Wingo rounds it out in round 6. That's your LSU guys in the NFL draft over the weekend. All right, we'll take a timeout. When we come back, LSU's got a big visitor on campus right now. Who is it? What are the prospects for that visitor? That's all coming up next.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electric. You don't want the power go out. Nasty storm that just rolled through. I know that my nieces up in Shreveport are out of school right now because power's going out up there. You don't have to have that happen to you at home or at your place of work. Boudreaux's Electric can get you a Generac generator installed at your home or your business to give yourself the peace of mind to know that power is not going out. Boudreaux's Electric is a premier Generac dealer. They are a premier Generac generator. They're top 3% nationwide in terms of Generac generator production. Look, the time to think about this is not after the power goes out. It's now, right now. You can check them out online, give them a phone call. That new Gonzales location opening up very, very soon. You can give them a call right now at 985-397-1562. It's 985-397-1562. That is Boudreaux's Electric.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to...
Sandigriff joined me and Jimmy out for the Tuesday edition of Live at Lunch. We're at Mike Anderson Seafood Wesley at Nicholson. We'll take a look back at the Pelicans Game 4. And Andy Esco joins us from Las Vegas. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. Tuesday from Mike Anderson's on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
While you're busy with spring cleaning, we'd like to add to the clutter in your bank account to the tune of $2,000. It's the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge Spring Cha-Ching, powered by Citizens Bank and Trust. Register today at 1045ESPN.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Moving right along here on this Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, Gulf Coast Office Products. Check them out online at gcopnet.com. LSU in the market for defensive tackles. We are well aware of this. The Tigers have been on the move looking for defensive tackles since the transfer portal opened. They have hosted their share of visitors. They pulled in one defensive tackle in Gio Paez, but you're looking to add at least one more, if not two more. And right now, LSU is hosting a visitor via the transfer portal. It is TCU transfer Dominic, I'm not exactly sure how we're pronouncing it. Either way, Williams is a big one. This is the most high-profile visitor that LSU has brought in. He's been at TCU for 2 years, started every game there at defensive tackle for a couple of years. He's already taken visits to Oklahoma and Texas in this cycle, was slated to go visit Colorado. That has not happened. LSU was supposed to be a little bit down the road. Now instead he's there making that visit right now. And we'll see if LSU can edge out Texas here for Dominic Williams. Like, I think if you could find a way to make this happen, it goes a long way at shoring up your defense, for lack of a better term. What they've got right now simply will not work from a talent perspective, in my opinion. Like, I just don't think that you can go out there with this group. We know that they've been in the market. Williams makes a ton of sense. This is one of the best players in the Big 12 the last couple of years. As a true freshman, he was a true freshman All-American by College Football News and 247 Sports. This past season, honorable mention Big 12 lineman, Big 12 Defensive Lineman of the Year, and honorable mention All Big 12. He's started 27 straight games. You're talking about a guy who had 33 tackles, had 5 tackles for loss, had 3 sacks. Defensive tackle is not necessarily a position that that generates a lot of statistics. You're meant to be either disruptive or occupying at defensive tackle. You either are supposed to get in there and blow the play up so that somebody else can come in and clean it up, or you occupy a couple of linemen and let your linebackers roam and make plays. And by all accounts, Williams has done that excellently well for a couple of years. He's 6'2". He weighs 325 pounds. He's what LSU needs, quite frankly. Paez is more of a project. That's a guy you've brought in from Wisconsin who played more on the edge in a different front, and he's going to try to add a little bit of weight and play tackle for you. You've brought in guys who have been, kind of journeymen and haven't played a ton. I realize the Big 12 is not the SEC. Like, I get it. That doesn't mean that everybody that TCU dresses out can't help at all. Jarek Bernard-Converse was just fine coming from the Big 12. Now, I realize that you thought you had the same thing in Deuce Chestnut, and that didn't work out, but this feels like a really, really important push. And, Texas is tough to compete against at this point. They've got a lot of money, and there's a lot of buzz, and he's a Texas kid. So we'll see how that shakes out, but LSU hopefully can find a way to get this done. I think there's a way. I'm going to try to press this and see if I can hear them pronounce this name. Let's see. All right, that's me. I don't want to hear that. Let's see. Because I'm curious how he pronounces his name, and I've got this earbuds thing here. So let's see. It's just Dominic. All right, yeah, just Dominic. Okay. Shout out TCU Sports Information for having pronunciations right there on the ready. Dominic. So it's spelled with a D-A-M-O-N-I-C, but it's just Dominic Williams. So I would change my tune about LSU's football team if they could bring him in. It sounds ridiculous to boil things down to one position, and I don't think the team can be boiled down to one position, but it's such a glaring issue on an otherwise solid roster that has kind of been turned over the last 2 years, that to have him come in, I think, can solidify things. And then I feel a little bit better about Jacoby and Guillory coming in. You feel a little bit better about the role that Gio Paez takes on. You feel a little bit better about the role Jalen Lee takes on. I think if you bring him in, he becomes your best defensive tackle, and everybody else kind of falls in line. If you've got a defense that is out there and has Jacoby and Guillory is your best interior defensive player, that to me is not necessarily indicative of an LSU championship level defense. If you back him up to second as a fifth-year player, it just feels a lot more palatable. So I don't know when this decision is expected to come down. I don't know if he's going to take that visit to Colorado. I don't know where else he may go, but this is a huge couple of days for LSU with Dominic Williams to try to make an impression and to try to get him on board. This pitch is really easy from a football perspective. Now, I don't know what the NIL side of things looks like, and that's for behind closed doors conversations. I can't speculate on who's got an offer here or what needs to happen here. That's all behind the curtains. But as far as the black and white stuff that we can all see, which is the type of player, the production he's had, and the need on LSU's roster and the fit, you won't find a better one. He can't find more obvious playing time at a quality program than he could at LSU. It's not like they're asking him to move across the country like they did Gio Paez. This is a kid from right down the road who's been in Fort Worth for a couple years. This is a really obvious fit. I have no idea how likely or unlikely it is that LSU can pull him in. But if you can do that, and then potentially go up to Michigan State and score another defensive tackle, all of a sudden I can start listening to reasonable minds debate whether or not LSU can make it to the playoff. If you don't pull either one of these two guys in, it's hard for me to make it a realistic case that LSU could win enough games to make the new playoff. You pull in two guys who have started for 2 seasons at TCU and Michigan State to come in and add them to the guys that you've already got, and then supplement some young talent that comes in for a few snaps. I can have that conversation. We can make that work. It's that time of year for wild optimism. But my wild optimism is going to be really constrained without defensive tackles showing up and committing and being in the mix. Hopefully Dominic Williams is next for LSU, but there's no indication right now as to when that could or will happen. If you're looking for LSU football news all year long, we've got you covered. It's Hunt on LSU over on YouTube. All LSU football all the time. It's football and recruiting. No basketball, no baseball at Hunt on LSU. All football all the time. So if you're looking for LSU football, go ahead and subscribe to that channel on YouTube. So every time that we post a video, it'll pop up right there in your feed. You can consume all the LSU football that you want and desire. All right, we'll step away, take a timeout. Still got 30 minutes to go here on I wish it was Tuesday, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Moscona invite you to join us for Monday's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. We're recapping the NFL Draft, the Saints Haul, and where the Tigers went, and LSU-Auburn in baseball. Join us for Monday's AFR, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
New Orleans Saints put together their 2024 draft class over the weekend, and we've talked now for months about how important the NFL draft is for New Orleans in the next couple of seasons. Because you're not in a position to make big moves with your NFL roster through free agency. The salary cap situation that you've created, specifically with the signing of Derek Carr, makes the free agency moves kind of an ancillary piece here or there, not necessarily a lot of starters or game changers. It's just not a position that you're in. You've got to get younger and cheaper through the draft. That's been the chorus of this show for months now with New Orleans since they finished a disappointing 2023 season. So on Friday, we talked about the decision to draft Taliesin Fuaga, and I think that was a very, very good one. I thought it was good the Saints did not get too aggressive, did not mortgage too many picks to go up and get one guy. You let the draft come to you. You take a player at a position of need. You feel like you've got a day one starter. I think that pick was a good one, and we talked about it back on Friday. So what did they do after that? Well, I was a little bit puzzled at the decision to trade up for Kool-Aid McKinstry. You've heard me say, don't trade up, don't trade up, don't trade up. I was really more so talking about in the first round because that's going to cost you a lot more. What the Saints gave up to move up to take Kool-Aid McKinstry was not necessarily a king's ransom. I think it was fine. I just was curious at the position they took, not necessarily the player. We all down here know the type of athlete and talent Kool-Aid McKinstry is, and I think he's going to be a really good NFL player. I just don't know that the Saints needed to spend their second-round pick at cornerback. You've got Marshawn Lattimore right now. You've got Alontae Taylor. You've got Paulson Adebo. You feel really good about the way that those guys have played. And I don't know that I see it's beeline to the field for Kool-Aid McKinstry. So I was puzzled by that, but not necessarily disappointed, because what have I talked about this draft in terms of? Not about 2024. Not about the 2024 Saints. No, it's about moving the franchise forward. And if you can pretty clearly see a day where Marshawn Lattimore is not part of the equation, well, bringing in a potential number one cornerback, or at the very least a starting cornerback, makes a lot of sense. He's cheaper than Marshawn Lattimore. He's younger than Marshawn Lattimore. Hey, look what we're talking about here. That's good. So I was a little puzzled by it, but as I think about it, I'm okay with the selection of Kool-Aid McKinstry. Now, the Saints did get really patient here and waited to take a pick in round 5. Bub Means, wide receiver from Pittsburgh, 6'2", 204, actually spent some time in Ruston at Louisiana Tech before he goes up to Pitt. And over 2 seasons at Pitt, 1,100 yards receiving, 16 yards per catch, caught 3 touchdowns. I think this is a fine pick. I think I'm going to trust the Saints on player and personnel evaluation. I'm not necessarily going to speak to that. I'm just going to speak to plan, because that I feel more comfortable assessing than individual wide receivers and their strengths and weaknesses. I think taking a wide receiver there at 5 in the 5th round makes a lot of sense. Then you got the Spencer Rattler pick. And I'll tell you, I love it. I absolutely love it. Because the potential reward here so much outweighs the risk. I know everybody in the league hopes, wishes, and dreams for their Brock Purdy situation. And the fact of the matter is that it almost never happens. Look across the NFL. Look at the starting quarterbacks. Most of them came in the top 20 picks in the draft. It just is what it is. Beck, just name me any division in the NFL quickly. Just name a division, go.
NFC West.
The NFC West. Well, you've got Brock Purdy there. Then you go up to Seattle, and they've kind of been in flux with their quarterback spot. But Geno Smith, who was there, was a first-round pick once upon a time. Then you go out west for more of the NFC. Who am I missing here?
Chargers.
That we need? They're in the AFC. So let's go NFC. Yeah. 49ers, the Cardinals. Kyler Murray, first pick in the draft. And then you go to the Rams. You had Jared Goff and Matt Stafford, both of which were first picks in the draft. Like, that's just the reality, just for the sake of the exercise. Like, no matter what you look at, most of the time you got to draft a quarterback in the first round. The Saints literally never do it. But to me, Spencer Rattler may not help the 2024 Saints. Maybe he's your backup quarterback. Maybe he beats Jay Kaner out. Maybe he doesn't. But on the off chance that you have found Dak Prescott here, that you have found Brock Purdy here. I'm not even going to try to bore you with the Tom Brady analysis, but like maybe you found a starting quarterback that's gold in the late middle rounds. I think it's worth the try. I'm almost never going to clown taking a quarterback. I said almost because I will if you sign Kirk Cousins to a 4-year, $115 million deal and then immediately turn around and take a quarterback at the 8th pick. I will make fun of that. But taking a flyer on a quarterback in the middle rounds, I don't think is the worst thing in the world because the potential reward is so immense, the risk is not great. 5th-round picks don't make rosters all the time. Spencer Rattler shows up and there's not room for him because Jake Haener just flat out plays him. It is what it is. But I think taking a chance on a super talented dude in the middle rounds is just fine. Jalen Ford at Texas, the linebacker, super productive. You know, some guys you take based on measurables. Some guys are the Mason Smith guy. Some guys ran the 4.33 at the combine, so you decide to take him. Some guys just look at the stat sheet and go, oh, this guy really knows how to play college football. Well, Jalen Ford is that guy. Had 101 total tackles last year, 10.5 TFLs, had a sack. He was first team all Big 12 in 2022 and 2023. You look at the linebacker situation, Pete Werner's rookie deal's coming up. Demario Davis can't play forever. Is it an immediate need in 2024? No. Is it a need after 2024? Yes. I'm all for it. I think that's just fine. Take Christian Boyd, defensive tackle in the 6th round. Do I think he's got a great chance to make the team? Probably not. But you can never have too many interior defensive players. You feel like you've really hit on Brian Brzee. I thought he had a good rookie year. You've got 2 free agents that you signed in front of him that were okay last year. But this is a position that you can never have too many guys at, and I'm fine with the pick. And then we knew that they were going to have to circle back at some point to find another offensive tackle. Was that in the 2nd round? Maybe. Was that in trading up into the 3rd or 4th round? Maybe. It turns out neither one of those happened. You took Kool-Aid McKinstry in the 2nd round, and you really were patient through rounds 3 and 4 until you got into the 5th round and started making your picks. So you take Josiah Zirum, and he's a big dude, comes out of a smaller school in Eastern Kentucky, and you got to hope that you found the next small school tackle a la Terran Armstead that can come in and play. You're talking about a monster of a human being. I mean, this guy is absolutely massive. I'm looking at pictures of him blocking some of these small school defensive linemen, and it's like comical how small some of these guys are compared to him. 6'5", 325 pounds. We'll see. It's worth a shot to take somebody at that position because of where you are. And hopefully you found 3 guys in this draft that can start in the NFL. You've taken 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys. If 3 of them are starters, I think you've done your job. Now, Talieso Fuaga better be a starter. So that's 1. And you feel like Kool-Aid McKinstry is likely number 2. I want 1 more of these other guys to come through and be able to help. Maybe Bub Means comes in and he's no threat to A.T. Perry and some of these other wide receivers, and he's not the guy you thought you had. Well, if you can get Jalen Ford, the linebacker, to be the next guy in the middle, once you decide what you're going to do with Pete Werner and Demario Davis's career starts to wind down, we'll see. If Christian Boyd blossoms into a starter at defensive tackle, that's awesome. And then the same thing goes for Josiah Zirum, an offensive tackle that you brought in. Same thing, although Saldiveri was an earlier pick than Zirum. Like, these are some of the guys you're going to need to show up and play on the offensive line now that you're cycling out of the Ryan Ramczyk era, that you don't know what's going on with Andrus Peat. Like, you need some younger guys to step up and play. So I'm not trying to get too greedy. I've told you time and time again how important this draft is. But if Fuaga and McKinstry are starters, and 1 more of those other guys that you took from the 5th round on is a starter in the NFL, I think you've done your job as a franchise drafting. There are a lot of impacts that draft picks can make. They can be practice squad guys. They can be special teams guys. They can be depth pieces. They can be starters. You need to get 1 more of those guys after your first 2 round picks to be a starter. If I had my way, it's probably Josiah Zirum because he's an offensive tackle, and that's something you need so desperately. But I'll settle for wide receiver, quarterback's the best, but I'm not holding out too much hope. I'm just willing to take the lottery ticket. As far as the rest of the guys go, we'll just see. Incidentally, saw Dennis Allen at church yesterday. Seemed to be in good spirits. I will say this as well. I told Jacob Beck this off the air, that in person on an NFL sideline, Dennis Allen doesn't look like to be a very imposing figure. In fact, quite the opposite when he's out there on on a sideline. At church, kind of an imposing figure.
As you said, he did play college football at Texas A&M.
He played safety at Texas A&M and was on the field for the Wrecking Crew. So yes, that does make sense that he would look that way. But I was on the North Shore, had some friends had their daughter baptized yesterday, and DA was right there at church. And so didn't say anything to him, but he looked to be in good spirits, and hopefully back to the grind today with some new guys on that roster in black and gold. If you're looking for your Saints coverage, you can find it on YouTube at Hunt on Saints on our YouTube page. We got one segment left. We'll close it out coming up next.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Visit us at LeBear's Baton Rouge Casino this spring for all the hoops and hockey playoff action. We got the biggest screens, the best food and drink, plus we're giving away PIN cash bonuses and prizes to PIN Play Rewards members. Not a member? Join today by downloading and registering for the PIN Play app from the App Store. Unlock all the fun, including a chance to win up to $2,000 in PIN cash. All this and more. Make LeBear's Baton Rouge Casino your spring sports viewing headquarters. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
He's here. Anyone want a Coors Light?
Oh, shoot, I forgot to play the song. I got a guy who can fix this.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years.
Sanagriff joined me and Jimmy out for the Tuesday edition of Live at Lunch. We're at Mike Anderson Seafood Wesley at Nicholson. We'll take a look back at the Pelicans Game 4. And Andy Esco joins us from Las Vegas. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. Tuesday from Mike Anderson's on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Shout out to Trey Beal and the folks at Gulf Coast Office Products. Story I tell you just about every single week. You can do business with the mom and pop shop, and you're probably going to have great customer service, but maybe not all the capabilities of a larger entity. And you can do business with the huge box store, and you're just going to be a number on the itemized line there, and you might get a recorded line when you call. Gulf Coast Office Products gives you the best of both worlds. They're a local company right here in South Louisiana. They can service the entire state. But you're going to have great customer service and a great relationship with the folks at Gulf Coast Office Products. But they also have the capabilities of those bigger stores. They've got over $1 million of inventory right here in Baton Rouge. They can service anywhere in the state, as I mentioned. If you're not giving any thought to where your copier, printer, scanner is coming from, maybe you should. Maybe you should give the folks at Gulf Coast Office Products a call and see if they can do something a little bit better for you. Trey Beal, awesome dude here in the Baton Rouge area. GCOPnet.com is the website. Gulf Coast Office Products at GCOPnet.com. Beck, based on what you're telling me in the break, does it appear that the New Orleans faithful have given up on their basketball team?
Well, yeah, I was actually texting a few of my buddies. We were talking about going to the game because apparently the tickets in the lower bowl are in like $40 range.
Yeah.
So
that's not what you want to hear.
Not great. Not a great sign.
You'd love that to be in about the $140 range.
Yeah, something like that would be good.
Have you given up on the Pelicans?
Yeah, for this series, yes. I mean, no team. No, as everyone always mentions when you mention a series that's down 3-0, no one has ever done it before. Yeah. I don't think the Pelicans without Zion Williamson will be the first team to break that streak. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but
how much of this is just not having Zion?
I think a good bit of it is, but I also don't think the way this team is playing, unless they would just be playing like a whole different team with him, I don't think that they would win the series with him, honestly. I mean, he's a very big difference maker. They probably win at least one or two more games than they will now. I'm assuming they'll lose tonight and get swept. But
I mean, they haven't really been competitive in games
only,
2 and 3.
Yeah, only the first game. Yeah, and it seemed like the first game was just the Thunder with a bunch of young players. Had never played a playoff game before. They were just getting their feet underneath them. And then the last two games, it's like they're a veteran team and they're making a lot of shots. So.
And the Pels offense just isn't getting out of neutral. I mean, they've gone 92, 92, 85.
Yeah, it's tough, man. CJ McCollum, I think, is the biggest. I mean, he had a really good regular season. I think he led the NBA, or he was in the top 5 in three-point percentage in the NBA this season, and he's just been ice cold. I think he's been 22 or 23% from three in the playoffs in the series. So it's just been a total drought in terms of their shooting. So that is and so like if you're telling me they're still going to shoot this poorly with Zion, then I still think there's no way they win those other two games. So it's almost the same.
It's so disappointing that you couldn't see the process through.
Yeah.
Like you decided to do this, and they got all the way through basically 82 games. And I realize BI missed 5 weeks there at the end, 6 weeks at the end, but like. You made it through and you won a bunch of games, and any other year that would have put you in as a top 4 seed, instead you're in the play-in, and then all of a sudden you got to play your way to the 8 seed and you got to play the 1 seed, and then your best player gets hurt, and it's like, do we even really know if this would have ever worked? And I'm prepared to do the autopsy tomorrow because I expect it to end tonight, but it just sucks if you're David Griffin and the whole crew in the front office, like, this is our idea, and we never even got to see if it might work.
Right.
Because I feel like they're going to blow this thing up at the end of this year.
Yeah, it's looking likely. And I was listening to Live at Lunch earlier today, and they were talking about how there's these other teams like the Thunder, the Spurs potentially, and the Nuggets, who they built these teams like through not through trying to build a super team like the Suns or the Lakers. They drafted a lot of these guys, built the team around a superstar, and you thought the Pelicans could do that.
Yeah.
But Zion just hasn't been healthy. He was actually healthy this year, but of course he plays almost entire regular season and then gets hurt in the play-in. So it's just
with like 3 minutes left.
It's just kind of unfathomable. And to me, I think the Pelicans with the healthy Zion and Brandon Ingram playing better, and CJ McCollum, I think they're probably going to trade CJ, and Jonas Valanciunas, his contract is up. They probably won't re-sign him. So
I would have liked to see this team at full strength play the Clippers or the Mavericks or like somebody out west that's not the 1 or 2 seed.
Yeah, which it almost seemed like it was going to happen, but then they threw up on themselves down the stretch at the end of the regular season, ended up having to play in the play-in, and then we're where we're at now.
Yep. We'll see if you decide to go. We'll do the autopsy on the whole thing coming up on tomorrow's show. But first, let's play some Take It or Leave It.
Alrighty, first one here. The Chiefs re-signed Travis Kelce to a 2-year contract extension. Kelce will be married to Taylor Swift by the end of that extension. Take it or leave it.
If you ask my wife, she says it's end game for Trav.
Yeah.
So, I think that's probably very likely. I am in the throes of Taylor Swift in my house. It is constant. It is
the new album, I'm guessing, is probably not helping situations.
Poets Society or something.
It's not
she just
good.
Cries all the time. None of the songs are happy.
I'm not turning Cassie's mic on because she's going to probably try to defend her.
And then Alyssa will come and it's a breakup album. You don't get it. I'm like, it's sad.
All of her albums are breakup albums, apparently.
Can we have some happy tunes in my house? It's a depressing place. The Heartbroken Poets Society or whatever it is. How about a little smile, Taylor? And now she starts cussing all the time.
All right, here
I don't need that.
Cassie's got a word.
I don't need the cuss words. Just take it easy.
It's the tortured poets.
Tortures, heartbroken, whoever
go.
she is. It comes through in the music. She seems real sad. She needs to pick it up a notch.
All right, next one here. The Cubs lost a weekend series at Fenway, one of them by 17 runs. That was nice to watch. Interleague play. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it.
I'll take it.
I'm okay with interleague play. It gives you some cool matchups like that, some crosstown stuff with Yankees and Mets or whatever. What I wish they would go back to the unbalanced schedule. I realize it's not fair to the wild cards to play your division so disproportionately, but like those are the teams I feel like the Cubs play. I feel like the Cubs play the Cardinals, they play the Brewers, they play the Pirates, they play the Reds. Like that's just what I feel like. You know, it's unfair that teams get to play the AL Central. It usually sucks, but like. It's just I feel like there should be more of those games than Cubs Marlins and Cubs Padres, but it is what it is. I don't have a huge issue either way. I think it's cool when the Cubs play the Red Sox and the Yankees, and I'll probably make a trip to Boston one of these years to see the Cubs at Fenway. So that's a cool part of it.
All right, last one here. The Phoenix Suns got swept yesterday, and the Suns will be back in the Western Conference Finals next year. Take it or leave it.
I gotta leave it. I mean, it's not like they're getting any younger, and it's not like the West looks like it's getting any worse. I mean, the West is just an absolute monster. And so I don't. It's odd that they've got as much star power as they have, and I realize there were some bumps and bruises over the course of an 82-game season, but everybody has to deal with that, and then they just show up and just got absolutely punked.
Anthony Edwards is
he's quite good.
He's establishing himself as
somebody. I can't remember who it was on Twitter. I think it was today. Said I really find it hard to believe that Tom Crean's Georgia team with Anthony Edwards went like 7-12 in league play.
Tom Crean in Georgia. That was. Yep.
Georgia's gotten a couple of those 5-star.
Yeah, didn't he have Caldwell Pope as well?
Contavious Caldwell Pope.
He's still in the league.
Yeah, and then you got obviously that is as underperforming a job as there is across any SEC sport. Georgia basketball being consistently trash should not happen with Atlanta right there with the brand that is Georgia. Like, they should be better than they are, and they just never can seem to figure it out. Everybody else has like popped the team here or there. South Carolina got to the freaking Final Four. That was a fluke, and it was the only NCAA team that Frank Martin ever had at South Carolina. But like, Georgia's never good. Like, LSU pops a team here and there. A&M had a good team 2 years ago. Florida had its run. We know about Arkansas. And I don't really expect Ole Miss or Mississippi State to be any good at basketball, so I don't really hold that against them. But like, Georgia with Atlanta right there, and that brand and that budget athletically.
It doesn't make
better.
any sense.
They should be better than they have been for sure. And they certainly are not. So that's it for Take It or Leave It here on this Monday. Hope your work week is off to a good start. Hope you stayed a little bit drier than I managed to stay this morning trying to drop the Myers man off at school. It was a total disaster at school today, but life goes on. You just do it a little bit wetter than you were when you started the car. We opened the show today talking about LSU baseball. I spoke about LSU and Auburn and what I saw over the weekend. And then in the second segment, I laid out the numbers and how LSU can potentially get into the NCAA tournament. I went back over the history of the last 5 years, looked at teams that finished 13-17, looked at teams that finished 14-16. What do the numbers say? I laid it all out there in the first hour. Our baseball breakdowns all season long are brought to you by Plucker. Sean Fazan of Fox 8 down in New Orleans joined us at 1:30 to talk about the Saints draft class. You can find that on our Saints YouTube channel, Hunt on Saints. My Zurich recap at 1:45. Awesome Saturday for me down there checking out some of the best golf in the world. And then it was a great day for the Zurich with Rory McIlroy and Shane Lowry winning yesterday and committing to come back next year, which is huge for that event. Hour number 2, we talked about LSU guys going to the draft. 3 of them headed to Jacksonville to play for the Jaguars. You can catch that on YouTube at Hunt on LSU, as well as my thoughts on Dominic Williams, the TCU transfer defensive lineman, and what he could mean to LSU if they can reel him in. If you missed any of the show, catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google. Wherever you find your sound, you can certainly find us. Matt's about to drive you home on After Further Review. We'll come back tomorrow talking Pels and LSU baseball. Same time and same place. Have a great rest of your Monday. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.